Know what to eat, but find yourself not eating it. Perhaps you've been on diets and off again and just wonder why you can't stick to them. The Eating For You podcast, hosted by me, Sally Ann Pisk, will show you what's been missing so you can enjoy a healthier way of eating that lasts. Hi, Sally Ann here, and this week I'm jumping right in with you because I'm going to be helping you to understand how the image you have created of your body is impacting on your life. And I appreciate that you may never have considered how your body image impacts on the choices that you make. So let's get started. As an example, if you have ever felt uncomfortable in your own skin, how did you respond? Did you jump onto Google and start looking for your next diet? If you've ever had that thought, I don't want to look in the mirror, what did you do after you had that thought? Did you race into the kitchen, raid the pantry cupboard, eat the packet of crisps or the packet of biscuits out of guilt or shame? Maybe you've just dreaded going shopping for clothes because you just don't believe anything is going to look good on you. So what did this belief lead you to do? Perhaps you decided to renew your gym membership thinking, I'm going to attend all of the classes this time. So these are the sorts of actions that often occur on autopilot when we have these negative thoughts about our body, and you may not even be aware of them. So I encourage you to reflect on this. Does how you feel about your body trigger you to take certain actions? Now, at any time during this episode that you start feeling, yes, this is me and I want to do something about this, then please take up the opportunity to join me in a free 30-minute mindful eating strategy call. That call is all about me listening to whether I can help you or not. And if I can't, I'll refer you on to someone who can. And before I dive into the body image timeline and what that's all about and how it can help us, I thought it was important that we really understand what body image is, that we all have the same understanding. The Butterfly Foundation is a national charity that helps all Australians who are impacted by eating disorders or body image issues, including families, friends, and communities who support them. And I really love their definition of body image. Our body image is formed by the thoughts, feelings, attitudes, and beliefs we have about our bodies and how we look. This takes into consideration our shape, size, weight, gender, identity, and the way our body functions for us. We may feel many different things about our body and appearance, sometimes satisfied or quite positive, sometimes dissatisfied or negative, sometimes a bit of both, or even neutral. Either way, how we feel about our body impacts on how we engage with the world. So what is the body image timeline and why is it so important? We are constantly overwhelmed by messages of eating healthy, being thin, being fit, being toned. And then there's all the advertisements for weight loss products, diets, and even the words from our family and friends and our healthcare practitioners may be impacting on how we feel about our body and how we believe we should really look. All of the direct and indirect messages you receive add to what you consider your ideal body to be and how you feel about your current body. To record your body image timeline, I'd like you to get started with these two questions. What is your earliest memory of how you felt in your body? And can you remember when you first felt pressure to change the way your body looked? And to support you in this process, I'm going to be sharing some highlights from my own journey with my body and food. And just like you, I've had moments in my life where there's been inconsistencies and contradictions, where I have felt very happy in my body, very proud and grateful for what my body does for me, but aware that it has been judged differently by others. I was a very active child and loved running. There was little athletics, cross-country running. And I loved the feeling of running. I loved being strong. I loved to move fast. I just loved it. I really can't explain it any more than that. And if you've been a runner or do run now, you probably know what I mean. There's those feel-good hormones that come into play as well. But I distinctly remember one evening at little athletics training, we were doing the high jump practice. And a boy, a popular boy, said to me, "Sally Ann, you've got lolly legs." And I said, "What do you mean?" And he said, "Your legs are fatter at the top than they are down the bottom." And I said, "Well, I don't eat lollies, so I don't know how I could have lolly legs." But of course, it planted a seed that there was something wrong with my thighs. So on one hand, I was feeling very proud of my body, how I could move and how strong and fit I was. But then perhaps there was something wrong with my legs. I was a budding ballerina before I became a teenager. It was one of my dreams that I would be in the Australian Ballet. It was just a dream, not something I really wanted to pursue. And again, I loved the way my body moved. I loved my strength. I loved my flexibility. I loved my balance. And I just loved moving with the music. But one weekend before our ballet practice, I was talking to two other dancers. And one of them was saying, I just don't think I'll keep doing ballet because my legs are fat. It's not helping me tone my legs. And I looked at her legs and I thought, they're much thinner than my legs. So what does that mean about my own legs? And you've got to remember that seed had already been planted from my experience at Little Athletics. And then in my teenage years came the Dolly magazines and later the Cosmo magazines, but especially the Dolly magazines. The girls were just so thin. And my friends and I would just flick through so many pages of these magazines and follow the diets thinking that we would end up looking like these models. We were being shown a constant image, one body type. And of course, I know now, and I hope you know as well, that there are many different body types, and I'm going to come back to this topic a little bit later. But when you're only shown one type, and that's how you're supposed to look, you can be tempted and overwhelmed and brainwashed in many ways to believe that's how you're meant to look. Later in my teenage years, the movie 10 came out. I didn't see it straight away when it was first released. And after watching that movie, I just felt so depressed about so many different things, but especially my body. And I love Bo Derek, and it's got nothing to do with her. That's her body, or was her body, when she was in the movie. But I came away thinking, I'm never going to be a 10 again, being influenced by those external images of what beauty, health, and attractiveness mean. But of course, that's not the case. But we have to take care because, again, we're given these images to build up expectations of that's how we're supposed to look. Moving on to my university days, and I was not alone. It was the dietitian group of us going through restricted food overall, but certainly restricted junk food. I feel that we were trying to embody what a dietitian should be, and that was not to eat junk food, to demonstrate that it is actually possible just to eat healthy food and not miss the junk food and not want to eat it in secret or binge on it, but no, we could just do without it. What I didn't realise at the time when I was a student, that there was actually an expectation of what dietitians would be like in the community. And I worked in rural New South Wales with a lot of other new graduate dietitians. And I remember meeting one day where we were talking about the frustrations we were having with our clients. And if you were in a body that was considered normal weight or perhaps underweight, your clients felt that you could not help them. You do not understand my problems because you've got an ideal body weight. If you were a dietitian in a larger body, even if that was a larger, healthy and fit body, it was perceived that you couldn't help me because you haven't got it right yourself. So that judgment that we imagined as students, in reality, was true in the wider community as well. And I know dietitians are not the only healthcare practitioners or only professionals that feel this pressure to be a certain way. And like I said, I'm going to come back to what is the ideal body for any of us very soon. My whole journey with food and body changed after the death of my brother. My comfort eating habit really rose to the surface, and it went on for about 18 months. And I didn't like who I wasn't enjoying life. I was very uncomfortable in my body at my highest weight. And in my adult years, as I've shared before, my weight did fluctuate within a 20 kilo weight range up until around the age of 30. I decided that because I couldn't get on top of my eating or my dissatisfaction with my body by following a diet and weighing myself, that I had to find another way. And I chose to take the focus off weight and food. And this is where my mindful eating practice really began. And my journey to healing my relationship with food and my body has become the Eating for You approach. And body image is one of the 9 drivers for eating in our approach. As promised, I just wanted to talk about a different point of view on body types and body image. The lady in the white shirt is potentially naturally a thinner type of build, a Vata constitution or dosha, as it's called in Ayurveda. The lady in the middle is a more muscular build, builds muscle easy, is fitter naturally, and that comes from our genetics. And she has a Pitta dosha. The lady in the pink jumper potentially is what we would call a Kapha dosha in Ayurveda. And people who have a Kapha dosha naturally carry a little bit more fat than others and can often be of a voluptuous body build when we think of body types. What I love about the way Ayurvedic doctors talk about our different body constitutions is that there is no perfect body type. There is no perfect shape. There is no perfect shape for us to be other than to look after the body that we have been born with. And I think that's really important, that whilst fashion magazines and health experts may be saying you have to do this, you have to look like that, that is not the case. And this is why the Eating for You approach is based on mindfulness and does adopt some of these Eastern principles, because I want you to become the expert of your own body and be comfortable in your own body. It is so important. In my own journey with food, as I've already shared, my weight fluctuated considerably in my 20s. When I look at my thinnest self, I just see someone who is fragile, looks undernourished, and I was quite unwell. And I was extremely restricting food and over-exercising to have that body. And I don't judge myself for that. Likewise, I don't judge myself for that version of me where the comfort eating habit had just started after my brother died. But I have to say, I am grateful to have been on this journey to end up like me, because I don't have the stress anymore about what my body is supposed to look like, what I'm supposed to eat, how much I'm supposed to exercise. Through mindful eating and living, I have been able to find a way of eating that works for me. And so have my clients as well. And it is really important to understand that this is possible for you as well. So what the body image timeline gives you is the space to process your own journey with food and body. And by taking a mindfulness approach, you can just observe and become curious about the different choices you have made along the way, rather than judge yourself. You can start cultivating a sense of self-compassion as you realize that there were so many pressures on you as a young person, and like me, possibly many contradictions in your own mind about how you felt about yourself and your body. And just remember that each moment your body was judged by yourself and others added to the image of your body and an ideal that wasn't based on your genetics or being able to live a healthy and happy life. In my own journey with food, I didn't love my body overnight. My first step was to nourish myself, and that way I could participate fully in my life again. I was grateful for what my body could do, and because of that, I wanted to nourish myself and take care of myself. It is only after decades of eating mindfully and taking care of myself that I can truly say now, I do love my body. I just want to share a very lovely story with you, and a friend of mine shared this with me before I went on my own body image journey. She overheard a friend talking to her daughter, her prepubescent daughter, and she said to her little one, "The body you have today is just one of the bodies you are going to have in your lifetime. Each body you have deserves to be cared for and nourished." And if there's nothing else you take away from today's episode, is that the message that we are very fortunate to have the bodies that we do. They may not always do what we want them to do, but we have the ability to nourish ourselves in a way that we can live as happily and healthily as possible in the bodies that we have been given. I appreciate this episode may have raised some questions for you about your relationship with your body and food. And for this very reason, I'm encouraging you to book a free mindful eating strategy call today. In this call, we just talk about what's happening for you with your food choices, how you're feeling about food and your body. And if I can help you, I'll map out a personalized plan for you. If I'm not the best person to help you, then I will refer you on to someone who can. If you have enjoyed this episode, then please share what you found of benefit and subscribe so you don't miss out on any future episodes. Thanks for listening, and I look forward to sharing with you again next week. You have been listening to the Eating For You podcast with Sally Ann Pisk. If you are looking for additional support to enjoy a lifelong way of healthier eating, then join me in a free 30-minute call to see if our approach is right for you. I have included the link to book an obligation-free call in this episode's notes.